What's shaking, my friends? Welcome to a new vlog. It is Wednesday, April the 12th, and the last vlog I stopped on Sunday, which I finished reading. I think the last book I read was The Bitter Twins, and I decided to pick up my indie book, which is going to be Along the Razor's Edge by Rob J. Hayes. I have never read Rob J. Hayes before. I do own this series, some of this series, and I own it on audio, and you know, it's on KU. And I also own on audio Never Die, whatever that series is called. I haven't read it yet. My problem has been the past couple days, I'm just so tired. So by the time I get home and cook dinner and get the kids to bed and everything, I've just been so exhausted and I've been falling asleep. So that's why it's Wednesday before I update you, because Monday night I edited some videos to go up and I read like a chapter before I fell asleep, and then last night I read a few more chapters before I was like, I'm done, I'm asleep. And so tonight I have just now at 9:30 been able to pick it up again. And so I've kind of been reading this very choppily, which I normally don't like to read like that because it kind of ruins the experience for me. But I am a little over 50 pages in now, and I don't know much about the story yet, but we're following our main character is Skara, and she has basically, they've been conquered in the war and she's been taken as prisoner. And that happened when she was 15 years old in this underground prison where they are abused and all of that. We're kind of just getting to know her and her backstory and, you know, just the living conditions of this prison. And that's where we are right now. So I don't really have much to say, so I'll check in when I have more to say. But I'm happy to be back in the indie world, reading some indie fantasy. I really want to get more into indie, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that I like to read audiobooks, and so a lot of the indie books I don't have audiobooks for, and so that really kind of ruins my enjoyment a little bit. I've been wanting to do immersion reads of my fantasy lately, and for some odd reason I've been really into physical copies instead of like reading on my Kindle. Like, I've had this Kindle forever and I hardly ever pull it out, so but I want to start reading on it more. So this month has been the first time I've read my Kindle in probably over a year. Like, a lot of times I'll read on my phone or whatever, which is crazy because it hurts your eyes and it's a small screen. So I pulled out my Kindle and I love it. I just don't know why I don't use it more often, but I definitely also have been in the mood to read physically, like a physically owned book, like a floppy paperback, for instance. But that's where I'm at now, and I'll check in more when I get more into the story. So I don't have many thoughts right now, again, because I'm just, you know, getting started in the story. So I will check in at a later date. So it is now Thursday and I'm still reading Along the Razor's Edge, and you know, when I read the synopsis of this book, I thought it may not be for me because it talks about this girl just escaping prison, and I was like, if the whole story of this first book is this girl escaping prison, like, I don't know what about that is just doesn't appeal to me, but it does not appeal to me. And of course, for majority of the book, that's what this story is about. We're getting flashbacks to, you know, before she became in prison and how she became this magic user, which she is, a sorcerer, and we're getting, you know, how she got in prison and her life in prison as she's trying to find some way to escape it, and just like the bleak nature of this prison, and which is fine, but I don't want to read a whole book about her trying to escape from prison, because I just felt like when I read the synopsis that there's not much that can happen that will make that exciting. I don't know, but I'm now 61% in. We're still in prison. But I'm now 61% in, and there are lots of characters in here, and some I really like, some I just don't really care for. I'm not seeing the connection. I think it's starting to pick up now, so I'm starting to get a little bit more invested in the story, and depending on how it goes for the next remainder of the book, I may like it. I don't know. We will have to see, but I'm gonna try to finish this tonight if at all possible. I think I have like an hour and 45 on the audiobook, so I may be able to if I don't fall asleep. I have been falling asleep like ridiculously, but hoping to finish this, so when I do finish it, I will pop back in thoughts. So I just finished Along the Razor's Edge by Rob J. Hayes. It's Friday night. It's late. It's like 11 o'clock. It's past 11 o'clock. But I wanted to pop in real quick and tell you my thoughts. They're similar to where I first started. So I think I've said that from the synopsis of the book when I read it, I knew it wasn't going to be like for me, but I thought, everybody loves this book. Let me read it. Because of the isolated settings, typically I don't like isolated settings as much. So we're following our main character. She has been imprisoned. She was a magic user, and there were two peoples that were at war, and she lost. So they imprisoned them in this underground prison, and it's her like trying to break out and just the life of how she's treated in prison. And there are side characters. I just didn't connect with the characters as much as I wanted to. And then Rob J. Hayes did this weird thing where he would like tell things that happen in the future. So for example, our main character would be like, let me think. This person is really bad, but when my daughter was worse, and you know, of course she's 15 at the time, so her daughter, we know that she grows up, she has this daughter that's really bad. Or she meets somebody and she's like, oh, well, I kill him later, but that's a story for another day. Like, it's just really weird because he's telling the story in advance, and so we know by the way he's telling the story some things that happen, which was just a weird kind of thing. And maybe it'll come together in future novels, but I don't know, it was just so freaking weird. So I landed on a 3 stars with this. I think I will continue on for one more book just to see if, you know, things start jiving with me a little bit better. I'm not giving up on Rob J. Hayes. I have, like, he has other books I want to read. I want to read Never Die. I have that on audio as well. So it may just be this particular book. There was nothing wrong with the writing. I just didn't jive with the, you know, the plot. So today when I got home, Seven Kings Must Die, of course, came out today. So what did I do? I got home from work and I pressed play, and I got my heart ripped out of me, and I'm just really sad that it's over, y'all. I'm really sad. The Last Kingdom was my favorite series of all time. Absolutely positively continues to be my favorite series of all time, and I don't see anything topping it. And this may be a very unpopular opinion, but for some odd reason I think TV shows and movies have just really gone downhill in recent years, some years more than just a few, and I think that could possibly be due to streaming. That may be unpopular, but that's a whole different conversation for a different day. But yes, if you have not watched The Last King, please do. I have not read the books yet, and so I'm excited to dive into the books at some point. It's a very long series, so I don't know when I want to read the books, but I definitely know that I want to read the books. But then I feel like when I read them, am I going to compare? I don't know. But people say the books are good too, so we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Okay, I have absolutely positively no clue at all what I'm going to read next. I may take a little break. I'm feeling a little bit pressured. I'm feeling kind of like a reading slump coming on. So I don't know what I'm going to read. I'll have to think about it and come back tomorrow. It's very early on Sunday morning. Yesterday, I started A House with Good Bones by T. Kingfisher. This is my first T. Kingfisher. I am using it again as a palette cleanser in between some fantasy reads, because sometimes reading fantasy back to back can get a little daunting sometimes. So I picked up a horror novella, I guess. I don't know how long this is. It's a shorter book, but I'm enjoying it so far. I'm 27% in. Basically, this woman has gone back to her mother's house to stay with her, and there's some things that are going on, and she notices that her mom is just not acting like her mom usually would. Like, some of her beliefs have changed, and her attitude, and some creepy things about the house that they're living in. So I'm enjoying it. I'll check back in when I get done. Yesterday I didn't read very much. We had my nephew's birthday party, which we had a grand old time. My kids did, and then my husband really wanted to go see John Wick 4, which we've been meaning to see for weeks, and we didn't, and we went and saw it, and that was the longest movie ever in the history of mankind. I'm like, why does this movie need to be almost 3 hours long? I don't know. But that's what we did yesterday, so I didn't have that much time to read. Today I am going about 30 minutes away. I'm going to do some book shopping. I'm taking my daughter to get some new clothes, and so that's what I'm planning on doing today. So I probably won't get much reading done, but I think tonight I'll be able to finish my T. Kingfisher book at least. So I'll check in when I get done and let you know how that's going. I can't believe that I've only read one book so far this week, but I'm hoping to change that next week. Okay, so I'm checking back in because I finished House with Good Bones by T. Kingfisher, and I actually ended up really enjoying this. Horror novellas are usually not my thing. Well, let's just be real. Like, novellas are not my thing. But horror novellas specifically sometimes tend to hit or miss. But I gave this one 4 stars. I liked it. Did I think it was super original, what T. Kingfisher did? Absolutely not. But she made me care about these characters in such a short amount of time. So the character building was superb. So basically what the story follows, and you can't give a lot of information about a novella without spoiling the story, but our main character is coming to stay with her mom and notices her mom is acting strange, doing some strange things. And there's some other characters that take place. I can't really say much about this, but there's something going on in the house, and I enjoyed it. So I'm gonna wrap this vlog up. Yesterday, I went to, you can see there's bags of books behind me, and I just did an unhaul, and that's what's in those bags of books, because I've got to go and I've got to spread joy to my free little libraries. I went and I made one trip last night because I needed to get some books gone, and I did, and so now I've got to make some more trips. And the really great thing is that we have decided that we are going to be getting me a 3rd shelf, but not till June. So, but that's 2 months away. We'll be fine. So I am excited. I'm going to end this vlog here. I know that I didn't read that much. Overall, it was a fine week. I got into kind of a slump, but I do know what I'm picking up next. Check out the next vlog to see what that is.